Lives Matter, the NAACP. The goal is not really to promote Star Trek, but to promote these organizations and to use our platform to be able to bring greater awareness to these very, very important messages and places.
Hey, One More World Entertainment, and we've been covering the absolute meltdown and cope that's been happening around the cancellation of Starfleet Academy. More so with the actors, because there's no fans that actually have meltdowns about this thing. But we just covered the girl who plays Sam, the retarded hologram, and just the cope session she's doing, where she was saying, oh, we weren't cancelled because we sucked or the show was bad. It's like, it's precisely why you were cancelled, because you did suck, your show was bad, which meant nobody watched it, which led to cancellation. And of course, Kareem Diane, who plays Gaiden, the first gay Klingon, even though his species was going extinct, and they still made the decision, let's make this guy gay, with two fathers, it's just like ridiculous. He already had his little say, but he has continued. And everything this guy has now said is one of those absolute definitions of the thing of saying, tell me you knew nothing about Star Trek without telling me you knew nothing about Star Trek. Because my God, does this guy paint you the perfect picture as to why these morons should never have been involved with Star Trek at all. And again, this goes again full circle back to Alex Kurtzman saying, everybody we hired to be a part of Star Trek must know and love Star Trek. And then you just see what everybody says and you're like, none of you knew anything about Star Trek. None of you love Star Trek. How could Kurtzman sit there and say, you must love Star Trek to be a part of our Star Trek, when he, like J.J. Abrams, took pride in sitting there and saying, I was never the Star Trek guy. But we're going to take a look at exactly what Kareem was saying this time around. Now, this was part of a podcast he did with Creasy Brooks, who is Sam, the retarded hologram, and they were being interviewed by Jake Sisko. Basically, he was running this thing. So the first part of what they were talking about was social media and the reactions towards the show on social media. And it was saying Krem came into Academy with this massive active social media following, because that's what the majority of these dickheads were social media people, like influencers and stuff, not like YouTubers. I'm talking about like on Instagram and TikTok. It's like, good God, that's who we're hiring here for these type of roles. But he said this to start off with, and this whole thing is about seeing negativity and stuff on social media. And just when you hear him speaking, it's just like, wow, you're not even the stereotypical gay guy. You are what people think gay people are, the way you answer. You'll see what I mean by how he kind of over-exaggerates this answer. So he said this, that's why I'm on my social media spreading love. Like, even the negative comments that creep into my page, I'll always respond with even love or like a little wink. I've never responded to negativity with any kind of negativity, or just won't respond. But love drives only love and drives out hate. But also love attracts love. And so because I am so active on social media, Carice, I think that's how you pronounce her name anyway, there is so much, like, so many people love this freaking show, like, hardcore. I definitely see the negativity, but I also see a lot of positive. I just want to stop before I go on. He says positive, not positivity. He does say positivity next, but but why did he end it by saying, I also see a lot of positive, as opposed to positivity? He then said, it's mostly positivity on my social media channels. To be honest with you, my online life is completely transformed since the show dropped. I looked at my stats one day and it was like 5 million people within 30 days had come to my page just to show love. Now, that's what he says in regard of the whole negativity online, basically, and stuff like that. Now, you see what I mean by, this would be someone's exaggerated, I think that's what I was meant to say, more exaggerated interpretation of a gay person where it's just love, 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 love. But that's actually how he said. So it's weird. But I also love that he says, I looked at my stats and I had like 5 million people in 30 days. That's really interesting, seeing as your show couldn't even get 1 million views altogether the entire season. We've just done a video covering that. How the hell did you get 5 million people coming to your social media when 5 million people didn't even come to watch the show? In fact, not even 500,000 people came to watch the show. So where does that come from? That is so bizarre. But we do get to the whole thing of just showing you how little they actually know and understand what Star Trek actually is. And this is where the cope really comes into everything that they're trying to deal with, why they're cancelled. But more so, not just does it show how much of Star Trek Kareem never knew, never understood. Clearly he's never watched Star Trek in his life. You're also going to see where he tries to be once again I am a first and I am a beacon of hope for people. You will see what I mean. So it's saying here how the conversation was brought up about him being the first gay Klingon. And wait till you hear his response to this whole thing. So it's funny because it's saying here, Kareem also appreciated that his romance with Kyle wasn't a whole episode or a huge plot point, but noted that portraying the first gay Klingon in Star Trek's 60-year history has definitely ruffled some feathers, which is not a bad thing. So you're going to start hearing his answer here. I think it's hilarious how he's saying my whole relationship with Kyle wasn't an entire episode. Basically was, though, because you were meant to go on holiday with your boyfriend Kyle, and the whole gay focus switched from Kyle to Fish Boy, and then ended back with Kyle. So your gayness was absolutely an entire episode. Maybe not with your boyfriend, but your gayness absolutely was. And a huge plot point, that's all you were there for, was to be gay. There was nothing else with your character. Absolutely nothing else. So, yeah, but here is what he says, and this is where you just really understand this guy doesn't understand Star Trek, never knew what Star Trek was about, and clearly has never seen it. So he said this: Star Trek has always ruffled feathers, is what I'm understanding. Like from day one, from the very first episode, you know, the point of Star Trek is to ruffle feathers, is to stretch people's minds and make space for everyone. Every single human being on this planet has a seat at this Star Trek table. This is the first part of what he says. So you're already seeing how he doesn't understand what Star Trek is. That no, Star Trek was never meant to be a thing to ruffle people's feathers. But he continued saying, my DMs are flooded with so much support from all kinds of people. Not just queer people, but also straight people and trans people and just black people, white people, Asian people. Like, people from all across the world have slid into my DMs to tell me how much this character means to them. That's been awesome. But yeah, there also has been a lot of weird stuff, like scary messages. Honestly, some people have responded to this violently, and that really tells me that we're actually doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Truly, because the point of Star Trek is to kind of like push that needle forward. There's one specific message that I can't get out of my head. This teacher who wrote me and said that one of the... This is really where it comes into I'm a glass ceiling smasher in Star Trek. That one of his students watched Starfleet Academy and that he's never felt himself represented on TV before because he is tall and he has a large stature and he's dark skinned and he's black, and people expect him to be this like rough and tough kind of guy, but he's not. He's a really sweet young queer kid. I'm excited by what we're all doing by introducing these different characters. It's really like opening up the room for more people to come in and feel included. Of course, I think we are bummed that we're not going to get a third season right now. What do you mean right now? You're fucking never getting it, you clown. But we shot 20 episodes of Star Trek. A lot of shows don't even make it to the pilot. Barely make it to the first season. So 2 seasons is actually really cool. And the fact that, like, we still have that to look forward to come out next year, I'm excited. Good holy lantern Christ, did you hear all of that this guy says? So, I love that end part though. We got to do 20 episodes of Star Trek, and lots of shows don't even make it to the pilot. Yeah, original Star Trek shows made it to 26 episodes a fucking season. You made 2 seasons and only have 20 episodes. So, do the math, sunshine. Do the math. But you see where he tries to be this glass ceiling smasher. His whole narrative is now this big, large, queer kid in school has somebody to identify with through a gay Klingon in a streaming show. Because there's never in the history of television, movie, sport, anything, a extremely tall black person. Yeah. He's never watched the NBA or, you know, the majority of films that has a black actor in it, because most of them are incredibly tall. You're like, Jesus Christ. Go and look at Commando or Predator and look at Bill Duke. The dude is like 6'4" and built like a brick shithouse. So this idea of, this kid grew up now in the 2020s and never seeing himself represent. Fuck off with this bullshit narrative that just keeps shoveling down people's throats. I've never been able to see myself represented. What do you mean? What are you? I'm black. You've never seen yourself? You mean you've never watched TV in your goddamn life? You're everywhere. What are you talking about? You've never seen yourself represented. This is the shit they're pushing. But then the fact that he's trying to say that Star Trek was always about ruffling feathers. No, it wasn't. And that it was meant to be for every single human being on the planet. Yes and no. Yes, in the fact that it's about aspirational things that have happened to bring humanity together. It's about humans putting their differences aside, coming together and realizing how great they could be if they just put their petty differences aside and went out there together. That's what it was about. That's where it brings everybody together. But in terms of audiences, no. It's for sci-fi people and people like that, with the hope that it could reach other people. But it's not made for absolutely every single living person. Nothing ever is. You would hope that almost every single other person would come in and watch with you. But that's not the reality. Nothing is for absolutely everybody. That's the reality of the world. But saying that Star Trek was always designed to ruffle feathers. No, it never was designed to ruffle feathers. It knew in the real world it would, but it wasn't designed to do it. That was never the message of Star Trek, which is what he is trying to say here. That the idea of, hey, we're going to make a Klingon gay, that's going to ruffle feathers, but that's exactly what Star Trek's always been designed to do. No, because you see, they're once again looking at the fact that Gene Roddenberry put a black woman on the bridge, a Russian and a Japanese man, and that everybody went, oh my god, they're ruffling feathers. He put them there to show that humanity had put their differences aside, that we're beyond the racial stuff, that we're beyond all of that crap. Just look, actually, right now at the Artemis 2 mission around the moon. One of the astronauts is a black Canadian guy, and it's his first mission ever into space. And all the media were pushing was, what's it like being the first black man to go that far into space? No man of color has ever gone that far before. Did you ever listen to his answers? Because holy shit, his answers absolutely fantastic, because he says that's not important. What's important is it's humankind that is going on this mission. It's humankind that is going the furthest that we've ever been. with this shouldn't be a what's it like being the first. It should never be about being the first. It should just be about, wow, you all as human beings have gone that far. That is the exact type of message Gene Roddenberry was always putting out from day one. And the fact that these clowns are coming in here into a franchise built on that and trying to say, oh no, it was always about ruffling feathers, it was always about representation, it was always about being the first of this and this and this, that just shows you why you were cancelled, how you never understood, don't understand, and never will understand what the vision of Star Trek truly was. And that, my friends, is why they failed. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit that hype button, check out memberships, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.